A Texas lawmaker has announced that Representative Slayton is his name, that he's going to introduce, Brian Slayton, a bill to ban drag shows in the presence of minors in Texas. Oh, for people that may not be up on this ridiculous controversy that the entire right is obsessing over, there was a kids talent show with drag queens in Dallas that parents took their kids to for fun for Pride Week.
Yeah, it was called Drag Kids to Pride. It was kicking off Pride. It was, as far as I can tell, not compulsory, state mandated, or even school mandated activity. It was voluntary activities for kids that aren't freaked out by gay people like the right wants us to be.
Yeah, that's the entire crux of it here. Because, taking your kid to a kid-friendly drag show is completely indistinguishable from taking your kid to a Broadway show or a play. Like, I'm serious about this. There's nothing different about it. It's costumes and it's dancing and it's colorful. My parents took me to Les Mis when I was a young kid here in New York as a Broadway play. There was prostitution in that play. Was I groomed? To be that, a sex worker? But I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like the point is just like kids can be exposed to themes. Often it goes over their head, and there's no sexual theme besides behind them that like ice cream innuendo that would totally go over their heads in this. It's just about empowerment and getting kids excited and participating in a talent show. That's what it is.
Also, like, I feel like I saw a picture of this on Twitter, so it's definitely anecdotal. I'm not making like a super broad generalization here, but like kids like sometimes will go to like Hooters for a birthday party and like take a picture with like the waitresses and stuff, or like this is like a little bit separate, but like kids in their like prom pictures holding assault rifles or things like that. It's like, I just mean in the sense of like what connection or what tissue is that forming for kids? Oh, let me stand with these scantily clad waitresses. This is so awesome. Or I'm armed in my tuxedo from prom. I mean, it's just a different cultural signifier, but that one's okay. Those are okay.
You're both missing the main comparison, which is the South has a very weird thing with beauty pageants of toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
And that you want to go protest something. If you're talking about like sexualizing children, you would go to those toddlers, like those girls,
toddlers and tiaras, which are just shows for pedophiles.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be real.
I mean, I won't go quite that far, but I mean it is super problematic, and I think it's very clear why those aren't the ones being protested by people.
I mean, we could go on and on. In Dallas, I'm sure some parents have taken their kids to Dallas Cowboys games. There are cheerleaders in bikini tops on the field. Is that exposing them to sexuality? In reality, this is just bigotry. Do we have the video of this Texas representative on
so sorry.
Dang it.
The Fox media player is so shitty.
Yeah, they're trying to sabotage us from within.
But one thing I'll say also that I think is interesting, and I think Matt Binder might have tweeted this or was talking about this or retweeted it, but like there's also this idea that it's not about it's only about parents' rights for the parents that these people agree with. They don't really give a shit about the parents who voluntarily decided to bring their kids to this show.
They care about them. They want them criminalized.
Yeah, right. It's like they care about it in the sense of they literally want them to not be able to parent the way that they parent.
Yeah, parental rights in the state of Texas. You don't have the right to voluntarily take your kid to a drag talent show, but we're gonna make sure that we micromanage the curriculum so that it doesn't have any mention of systemic racism or maybe even black people in general. That might be better.
And there's I mean, this is just an update of the drag queen story hour thing that was going on in a few cities, and the right was just completely freaking out that the idea that you'd have a drag queen in a library teaching kids. But actually, if you look into that a little bit deeper, that as a teaching method is quite interesting from an experimental standpoint, because unlike a normal teacher where like the way we have habituated teaching is to sap any sort of personality or charisma out of those folks and to teach them from a turgid decades old book written to accommodate like Jim Crowites. Instead, you have somebody who's willing to sort of upend and challenge understandings in a way that is constructive to learning. And I think the same case could be made for this drag your kids to pride thing, where it's exposing kids to, honestly, like I think about this all the time. I've said this on the show before, but my first time ever in a sort of big city was going to Washington, D.C. for a history thing in between 6th and 7th grade. And I didn't see the person on the subway, but I do remember the sort of horrible conversation and people making fun of seeing a trans individual on the subway. And I really wish, frankly, that we and I had a culture that hadn't led us to the only response we could have for that person was humiliation and mockery.
Yeah.
And so that's why.
But that's what they want.
That's what they want. Exactly.
They want to stigmatize it.
Exactly. That's they realize that they've been losing that, and they want to fight for it again.
So that's exactly what this is. When they're talking about protecting kids, it's not about. Oh yeah, they're really serious about protecting kids in Texas. Just look at how they're proposing solutions to what happened in Uvalde. Right? They care so much about protecting kids, when in reality, it's about protecting themselves from their kids. The narcissism of these parental rights is what just gets me every time. They are so terrified of their children having minds of their own and being exposed to things that are not explicitly the conditioning of their parents, that they go so far as to stigmatize gay people. They want. They're so afraid of their kids being exposed to new ideas, like Matt was describing, that they're trying to enshrine it into law, basically. So they're not interested in protecting kids.
No, they want kids to commit suicide.
Yes.
Like, I mean, this whole thing, this whole debate, and the concern trolling about puberty blockers, like, just to very simply state that for folks who are a little bit confused by that conversation. It's like, let's say you have a kid and I, unlike certain bigots, believe that trans kids exist. And let's say you do go through a social transition phase with kids who realize that they have that they identify differently, and then you're going to force them to go through puberty. Like, there should not be a Donald Trump judge in the middle of that. That should be between that child, their parents, and the medical professionals. And like I'll just recommend a book finally. Sean Faye's The Trans Issue came out last year, and I think we should try to get her on the show, because I don't know, that, like, I'm really, like, at the end of my I mean, not that I had a whole lot of tolerance for this stuff in general, but it's just like, it's really snowballing now.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's literally it's legislation. It's proposed legislation. It's legislation in Ohio that's about genital inspections of children. Like, this is happening in the way that we saw these abortion bills happening. There's a massive backlash, coordinated backlash right now. The right's trying to assert themselves, and they want to do it with the blood of trans kids on their hands.